We're back to mix it up on some of the day's other top stories. Starting the clock on health care, some bad news for everyone hoping to get a state tax refund, and a big ruling on one nation under God out of one of the most liberal courts in our nation. I'm referring to the Ninth Circuit out in lovely Northern California. We begin, though, with the health care conversation. The president today delaying his trip to Asia so that he can be in Washington for what he hopes will be the final push for his health care bill. The trip was originally planned for March 18th through the 21st. The health care timeline, of course, remains hazy. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi not commenting, or not committing, I should say, to passing a bill by the end of next week, as some have been pressuring her to do. Press Secretary Robert Gibbs said the president will leave for Asia on the morning of the 21st, whether or not the bill has been passed. Pelosi was more clear about the fate of the public option, however, in the final bill. Take a listen.
It isn't with a little sadness that I view that it is not in the bill, but in fighting for the public option, we improved what it's going to be in the final product. Because while we may not have a public option, we have the purpose of the public option served.
Here to mix it up on our panel, former New York Governor Eliot Spitzer and Associate Editor for the Washington Examiner, J.P. Freire. J.P., nice to see you. Governor, do you agree with what Nancy Pelosi just said about the purpose of the public option being served in this piece of legislation?
Well, not entirely. I hate to disagree with Nancy, but it seems to me that a public option works because it generates competition. It's competition in a slightly different form. Competition works. The public option generates competition. That's the way it should have been explained over time, and I'm disappointed it's not going to be in there.
J.P., quick and dirty, what are you thinking here?
Oh, I mean, the idea of public option serving competition, I mean, you can't compete with the government, so that doesn't make any sense.
Nor can you compete with a monopoly, which is the current structure, right?
Well, I mean, if you had states, if you had insurance companies able to compete across state lines, that would be another thing, but they're not even entertaining that idea.
No, I'm aware.
Why can't you compete with the government? It seems to me this is the straw man that's been suggested by those who oppose the public option.
Of course you can.
It's not going to be generating subsidies that are impossible. Why not?
You have unlimited revenues from taxpayers on one hand, and then you have companies on the other. So I don't think that this is a fair comparison.
No, that's actually not the case. You don't have unlimited subsidies. You can structure it in a way that says you will permit the government to offer these packages with either defined subsidies or limited subsidies or no subsidies.
The market.
But right now, as Dylan said, we have a market which is monopolistic, where there is no competition, and creating a check by having a public option would work. And I think every accounting, the CBO and on down, who has looked at it has said it would be competitive. It would generate the precise sort of competition those of us who are genuine capitalists want to see.
One thing that strikes me, but just politically, and then we'll move on, is Dick Durbin came out on the potential for this public option amendment. Bernie Sanders has made noise by saying forcing an up or down vote on the subject. And I'll quote Senator Durbin here saying, "We have to tell people you just have to swallow hard and say that putting an amendment on this is either going to stop it or slow it down, and we just can't let it happen." It's as if the Democrats, who at one point said we don't have the votes, are now saying, well, there may be the votes, but it'll slow it down.
Look, it's frustrating. Dick Durbin is a great senator. Again, he is somebody who has been taking a lot of slings and arrows, but I think he's wrong about this. I'd rather see the public option there. The public wants it. When you explain it the right way, it works. Let's do something transformational.
All right, moving on. You may be waiting a little longer this year for your state tax refunds. State officials around the country are considering refund freezes of your money collected from you as tax collections as you worked through the year last year to help offset their budget shortfalls caused by the recession, which of course was triggered by the fraud in the financial industry. In fact, right here in New York, for example, $500 million in tax refund money may be delayed until the state begins to rebound from a $9 billion deficit, which means it doesn't even have a timeline. Is that legal?
Well, it's legal because the state will do it. They'll pass the, look, I'm a former governor. I'm feeling a little betwixt and between on this one. Yeah, it will be done in a way that is legal. I think it shows the desperation, because nobody wants to say to taxpayers, we know you expect this refund, you know you're paying for your bills with it, but we're not sending it to you. That's an ugly thing.
JP, if taxpayers weren't worked up already, this will send them over the moon, I imagine.
Oh yeah, it'll totally send them over the moon. I mean, this plan is really called stealing. I mean, it's a no-interest loan to the government from the taxpayer, and it's to pay for programs that were really just political favors.
I think, Dylan, I think the same accountants who did the Repo 105 are the ones who are behind this, but hey, the government's doing it, so it's okay on on this time.
All right. Oh, boy. Finally, references to God on the U.S. currency and in the Pledge of Allegiance are here to stay. You may hearken back a few years. There was a little bit of controversy around this around 2002. A federal court re-examined that 02 case that declared that the words "under God" were unconstitutional because it violated the separation of church and state. After taking a second look, the same court that ruled that phrase, they say that phrase now unites our nation by promoting patriotism, not prayer. The court also upheld the words "in God we trust" on the U.S. currency, considering the way we print money. The trust in God, maybe, there's a joke there. I won't do it. The governor gave me a look. JP, your thoughts on the ruling here?
Well, I mean, the whole idea is that the Establishment Clause, there's a lot of, I'm sure that Eliot has different thoughts on this, but that this is really just about preventing state sponsorship of religion, that existed back in the constitutional era. It doesn't mean that we should strike religion from the public sphere. It's fine if e pluribus unum appears, e pluribus unum, it's fine if "in God we trust" appears on currency. It's fine if "under God" appears in the Pledge of Allegiance. It's not one particular church that benefits. It's just saying that religion exists and we recognize that it plays a role in the public life.
Fair?
Yeah, these decisions don't bother me. Honestly, there are issues out there right now that are critical. Life and death, our financial future. Let's just kind of accept it. Here we go. I'll do that trade again.
$50 billion.
Yeah, but wait, I want that currency says "in God we trust." I want it back. Now I have both.
JP and I are going to.
What do I get?
You and I are going to split some of Spitzer's money. We'll leave him with the garbage can. It'll be just like Lehman Brothers. We'll just have to run fast. Right. You're lucky to be in D.C. Thank you, JP. Governor, thank you so much. Dylan.